Imagine this. Your country finally gets a fair election. A man the people love gets voted in. He has one big promise to take back your country's oil from a foreign power that's been getting rich off it for decades. The people cheer. The future looks bright. Then the CIA shows up. This is the story of how one covert operation in 1953 set off a chain reaction that is still blowing things up today. Literally. Iran, 1951. The country is sitting on one of the largest oil reserves in the world, but an Anglo-British company backed by the British government controls almost all of it. Iranians do the labor. Britain takes the profits. Then a scrappy 69-year-old lawyer named Mohammad Mossadegh becomes prime minister. He does something radical. He nationalizes the oil, meaning Iran's oil goes back to Iran. Britain is furious. They call it theft. They impose a global embargo, and then they call in a favor from their friends in Washington. In 1953, the CIA and British intelligence launched Operation Ajax. They bribed Iranian military officers, paid street gangs to cause chaos, and manufactured a crisis. Mossadegh was overthrown, arrested, put under house arrest for the rest of his life. The Shah, pro-Western, obedient, was put back on the throne. Iran's first real democracy died before it could walk, and every single Iranian alive that day remembered. For 26 years, the Shah rules Iran with an iron fist. His secret police torture dissidents. Political opposition is crushed. But he is Washington's man in the Middle East. So the U.S. looks the other way. The anger builds. Slowly. Then all at once. 1979. The Islamic Revolution. Ayatollah Khamenei flies home from exile in Paris. Millions pour into the streets. The Shah flees. And overnight, everything changes. The new government had a message for America. We remember 1953. In November 1979, Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and took 66 Americans hostage. They held them for 444 days. Their demand? Apologize for the coup. Hand over the Shah. America refused. The crisis paralyzed President Jimmy Carter's entire presidency and announced to the world that a new, defiant Iran had arrived. And there was one more thing the new Iran made crystal clear. Israel, which had quietly been one of Iran's closest allies under the Shah, was now declared an enemy state, an illegitimate nation that had no right to exist. Iran began funding Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, groups whose whole purpose was to fight Israel. The proxy war had begun. Here's where it gets really messy. In 1980, Iraq invades Iran. A brutal 8-year war begins. Over 1 million people die. America backs Iraq. They provide intelligence, military support, and turn a blind eye when Iraq uses chemical weapons on Iranian soldiers. Washington's message? We want Iran to lose. And yet at the exact same time, senior Reagan administration officials were secretly selling weapons to Iran. This became known as the Iran-Contra affair. Reagan's team sold Iran weapons secretly, illegally, and used the money to fund rebels in Nicaragua. Iran was the enemy. Iran was also the customer. When it came out, it was one of the biggest political scandals in American history. But for Iran, it confirmed something they already believed. America could never be trusted. Then in 1988, the USS Vincennes, a U.S. Navy warship in the Persian Gulf, shot down Iran Air Flight 655, a civilian passenger jet, 290 people on board, all dead. Washington said it was a tragic accident. The U.S. government gave the ship's captain a medal. Iran called it a war crime. They have never forgotten it. Fast forward to the 2000s. Iran announces it's developing nuclear enrichment technology. Now Iran says it's for energy. The U.S. and Israel say that's a cover story for building a nuclear bomb. For Israel, This is existential. A nuclear-armed Iran that openly calls for your destruction is not a foreign policy problem. It's a survival problem. The response was a multi-front campaign. Economically, the U.S. and European nations pile on the heaviest sanctions in history, strangling Iran's economy. In the shadows, a cyber weapon called Stuxnet, widely attributed to the U.S. and Israel, physically destroyed Iranian centrifuges used for uranium enrichment. It was the world's first digital act of war. Iranian nuclear scientists started getting assassinated, motorbikes pulling up, bombs attached to car doors. Israel never confirmed it, but everyone knew. After years of brutal sanctions and secret negotiations, a deal was finally struck in 2015. The JCPOA, the Iran nuclear deal. Iran would freeze its nuclear program and allow international inspectors in. In exchange, crippling sanctions would be lifted. In Tehran, people danced in the streets. For a moment, it felt like the world had stepped back from the edge. It lasted 3 years. In 2018, Donald Trump pulled America out of the deal. He called it the worst deal ever negotiated. Sanctions came back harder than before. Iran expelled international nuclear inspectors and resumed enriching uranium. The door to diplomacy slammed shut, and the countdown clock started again. January 3rd, 2020, Baghdad International Airport, 1 a.m. A U.S. drone fires on a convoy leaving the airport. Among the dead, General Qasem Soleimani, the commander of Iran's elite Quds force, the most powerful military figure in the Middle East who was not a head of state. In Iran, tens of millions of people flood the streets for his funeral. It is one of the largest public gatherings in human history. Iran launched missile strikes on U.S. bases in Iraq. For 24 hours, the world genuinely thought it was watching the beginning of a major war. Then both sides quietly stepped back. October 7th, 2023. Hamas launches the deadliest attack on Israeli soil in the country's history. Israel responds with massive military force in Gaza. The whole region catches fire. Hezbollah opens a second front from Lebanon. The Houthis in Yemen, funded by Iran, start firing missiles at Israel from 1,000 miles away. Iran's proxy network, built over 40 years, is being activated all at once. Then, in April 2024, Israel bombed the Iranian consulate in Damascus, killing senior Iranian military officers. Iran's response shocked the world. For the first time in the 45-year history of the Islamic Republic, Iran launched a direct attack on Israeli territory. Over 300 drones and ballistic missiles fired at Israel in a single night. Israel and its allies intercepted almost all of them. Then Israel struck back at Iran. The shadow war had become a real one. June 13th, 2025. Israel launched a massive, coordinated surprise assault on Iran. Nuclear facilities bombed, missile sites destroyed, senior generals, nuclear scientists, and political leaders assassinated in a single night. Iran hit back hard. Missiles rained down on Israeli cities. The Iron Dome worked overtime. After a week of exchanging blows, the United States entered directly bombing Iran's 3 most critical nuclear sites: Fordow, Isfahan, and Natanz. After 12 days, a U.S. brokered ceasefire was announced. Iran reported over 600 of its citizens killed. Israel said 28 died on its side. The war was over. The conflict was not. February 28th, 2026. The United States and Israel launched another wave of coordinated strikes on Iran. But this time, President Trump was explicit about the goal: regime change. He called on the Iranian people to rise up. The following morning, Iranian state media made an announcement that stunned the world. Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, the man who had defined Iran's defiance for over 35 years, was dead. Iran declared 40 days of national mourning. What comes next? Nobody knows. 7 decades, one CIA coup, one revolution, one nuclear deal torn apart. Proxy wars, assassinations, cyber attacks, and finally open warfare. Every single escalation in this story connects back to one moment, 1953, the day America helped destroy Iran's democracy. You cannot understand the Middle East today without understanding that. If you want to go deeper on any part of this story, drop it in the comments. And if this helped you understand something you didn't before, that's the whole point. Like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.